You may be aware by now that there are rumors circulating around this country that the government of Liberia has printed money. That is absolutely false, and it's a lie. Let us just inform your judgment. To print money, you need a bank governor's signature on the money. How is it you're going to print money without authorization from the legislature by law? It's not possible. And if you print the money, whose signature will be on the money? They just appointed a bank governor. So it's a lie. It's a calculated lie on the part of people lacking critical thinking. Because if you have an ounce of critical thinking, you will know that before you print money, you need authorization from the legislature. You will know in your mind, before the legislature went to break, they told the Liberian people and the government that there will be no printing of money until the central bank is restructured. So only a dumb person will run around and say they've printed the money already. It's not possible. And if you decide to print the money after Governor Pitch's resignation, whose signature now will be on the new money? Thirdly, to print money requires money. And if we have that kind of money to print the money, why don't we go beyond the regularization of civil servant salaries? So that is bogus. And some of our friends are bent on these kind of false rumors because they lack simple critical thinking. So it's untrue. Someone will say, just to say not true, you have to say all that, just to bring you up, members of the media, to speed. That it's not enough to say it's not true. Go beyond convincing people why it's not true, that it cannot be true and will never be true. You may have seen a letter in the newspaper from the GSC. Many of our friends ran around with the letter saying that the GSC is clear. They advised the legislature not to waver. They accused the central bank of XYZ, and that until it can be restructured. Look, listen, go back to the newspapers. The letter was written, dated on the 8th of October. By then, the legislature had already taken the decision and had gone to break. Critical thinking. And the letter was specific. Do not waver on your stance not to print the money until. What does that mean? It means that you're telling somebody your decision that you took, don't stop until you get to where you want to. And somehow our friends are saying that the GSC had indicted people by saying that somehow they were corrupt and the GSC was advising the House. Which came first? The legislature had made the decision before the letter was written. The problem we have in this country, folks, there are some, I'm choosing my words carefully, there are some boom-headed individuals that are privileged to have microphones in their hands in the morning and somehow do not take their time to even apply critical thinking when they get on the radio to make analysis. It's unfortunate. And they keep misleading our people. They keep misleading our people. The people took the decision before they went to break. The letter was written after the break. And yet you're going to run with something that was written October 8th. Today is November 14th. That's 1 month after that letter was written. The economic issue facing our country is not unique to our country. Check Chile, check Bolivia, check Indonesia, check Beirut, check Hong Kong. Follow the global trend of events as journalists. Last but not the least, like Wilson K. Tappert, Professor Wilson K. Tappert said on radio yesterday, printing new money is not the same as replacing your currency. When your currency is in circulation, you can decide to print new bank notes. But when you have a messed up currency and you don't know how much of your money is in circulation, and over 90% of your money is outside the banking sector, and you cannot find your own money, and you don't know where your own money is, the best thing to do is to change your currency so that those who have it in their houses can be forced to bring it outside. So we can know in this country who's holding 20 billion Liberian dollars if they have it. 5 billion Liberian dollars in their house if they have it. We will see the trucks coming. Why should we be in a country where when you go to the bank, you're having problems in getting your own money out of the bank? But yet, our friends yesterday, who were running around and saying the rate was astronomically high, are the same friends today who are not praising anybody for the rate coming low. Instead now, they're saying the rate is dropping, but prices are going up. So every time we come to play the game, they move the goalpost to favor them. One day the rate is high. The next day when the rate gets low, let's talk about prices. One day income disparity is a problem because one person making 5,000 and the other person making only 300. When they make the person who's making 5,000 come down to make 2,200 like me, our friends complain that the government is cutting people money. So we're going to live in this cycle for a while. But it does not bother the president the least. Change is inevitable, and change is a must on the president we are. Make no mistake about it. He came and he changed the income disparity argument. Yes, the economy is a challenge, but we are accepting the challenge, or the challenges, if it be. Today, in some quarters, the rate is 189. Some of you remember that the rate was 215, 218. Our friends were crying. Today, I expect our friends to hold palm branches in the street to celebrate that the rate is getting to 189. But our friends are saying that the country now is too hard. But it seems as though our friends are not reading global politics. It is not unique to Liberia, except that this problem was brought upon us by our friends. They printed more money than was authorized, and even with the information that they were printing a certain amount, they still went ahead and printed excess amount, brought it in the country, and today we cannot even find the monies. On the argument our friends are making when they say the government said no $16 billion got missing, not only did the government say so, the Presidential Investigative Team report confirmed it, the Kroll report confirmed it, because it is foolhardy to believe that your country currency put at the time estimated to be around 17.5 billion, that all of a sudden 16 out of that, the Liberian people can say the whole country money can miss it. Now because people don't go to school sometimes, we have these kind of arguments. So yes, the government said so. The government did not tell you that $1 did not get missing. The claim was $16 billion got missing. The government said no $16 billion got missing. So the government was absolutely right. What our friends do not talk about is the $2.6 billion that they printed in excess. They don't talk about that one. They're talking about the economy is bad. It wasn't that bad under President Ellen. What they don't tell you is that the reason why it wasn't that bad under President Ellen is because we printed $2.6 billion in excess and was flooding it onto the market. That's why things wasn't so bad. And the reason why the rate kept climbing under Ellen was because we had all this money to buy up the US dollars from the market. So we didn't care about the rate. What our friends don't tell you is that we take responsibility for this economic mess because we printed money like we were doing photocopies of our test papers. Today, if you see the $5 banknotes, it looked like some paper that some child drew on in the ABC. And yet still, when they printed such disgraceful money and left it to us, before leaving office, they asked to print some more money to replace the mutilated bundles, the theater money. They gave them authorization to replace it. Then they went and printed the money to replace it. Instead of replacing it, they left the theater money there and then put other money behind it. Our friends don't tell the Liberian people that.